Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 4th, 2025 board meeting at the Halton District School Board. I would like to extend a special welcome to our guests, both in person and online. We will start with the roll call. Vice Chair Oliver.
Good evening.
Trustee Ahmed. Trustee Ahmed will be joining us momentarily on Google Meets. Trustee Amos. Trustee Bryden.
Good evening.
Trustee Daniele.
Thank you, I'm here.
Trustee Shuttleworth.
Good evening.
Trustee Zhang.
Good evening.
Student Trustee Ho. Student Trustee Ochu.
Good evening.
Trustee Ahmed just joined the meeting. Thank you. We have regrets tonight from Trustee Baxter, Trustee Gray, and Trustee Rocha. Director Ennis, please let us know which staff are in attendance this evening.
Thank you, Chair Collard, and good evening, everyone. We have a full slate of senior team here this evening to support the meeting.
Thank you very much. And tonight, Vice Chair Oliver will be honoring the land.
Thank you. We begin by acknowledging the land and our responsibility to care for and respect all that provides us with life. This land, upon which HDSB is situated, is on the ancestral treaty and title lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Miccosagi Nation, now known as the Mississaugas of the Credit. Miccosagi territory in the past and present continues to host both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. The HDSB is committed to continuous knowledge building with respect to actions that address and resolve the ongoing impacts of colonialism. We do this by learning and understanding the true history, treaty obligations, duties and responsibilities, and Indigenous rights, while actively maintaining mutually beneficial relationships and collectively respecting and caring for the land.
Thank you, Vice Chair Oliver. Just wanted to note that Trustee Amos has now joined the meeting. Trustee Daniele, would you like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, I would.
Trustee Bryden, would you like to second this motion?
Yes, please.
Are there any objections to approving the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is approved by unanimous consent. Are there any declarations of possible conflict of interest for this evening's agenda? Seeing none, we are now up to item 2, delegations and presentations to the board. And at this time, I will remind trustees to please log into the Crestone system. 2.1, Inspire Awards. I will pass the gavel to Trustee Shuttleworth, one of the co-chairs of the Inspire Awards, to preside over this evening's awards.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is always one of my favorite events of the evening, and tonight is even more special because the 2 awards that we are presenting in the board meeting are truly exceptional people. An Inspire Award is given to an individual or group that is formally or informally associated with the Halton District School Board. These people have gone above and beyond to support our students. Trustees are honored to be able to recognize these often unsung heroes as they have been nominated by families, staff, students, volunteers, and the community. They have been recognized as people who stand out and support HDSB students and their achievements through exemplary caring, initiative, innovation, and creativity. And tonight we have 2 that we're presenting at the board and 1 that will be presented later at the school. So at the board, we have 2 extremely exceptional people. The first person we're going to speak about tonight is Tony Frafer, who is a driver for the Halton Student Transportation Services. Trustee Bryden will be presenting the award. Come on up. So Tony, your dedication and compassion have made a profound impact on the lives of the students and family you serve. As a driver for the Halton Student Transportation Services, you have gone far beyond your role, offering invaluable support to families who were new to Halton. When 3 siblings experienced busing challenges and a language barrier, you stepped in without hesitation to translate, guide, and advocate for them to ensure their needs were met. Your kindness and willingness to accompany the family to the office and bridge the communication gap allowed for immediate resolution. Your efforts not only helped the student navigate the transportation system, but also demonstrated the power of advocacy and care in education. Tony, your perpetual smile, patience, and genuine care for students' well-being are an inspiration to all who witness your work. Your colleagues have been deeply moved by your eagerness to help, serving as a reminder of the power of kindness and advocacy. Tony, you embody the true spirit of service, and your outstanding character and unwavering dedication make you a truly deserving recipient of this award. Your contributions will have a lasting ripple effect, setting an example of compassion, leadership, and commitment that will continue to enrich the HDSB community for years to come. Tony, your story is so inspiring, so congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Tony. So next up, we have a very familiar face around the board table. Next is Jason Meisner, who is a former senior communication officer for the HDSB. He was he worked at the J.W. Singleton Education Center in the Communication and Engagement Department, and Chair Collard will be presenting his award. Jason, as a member of the HDSB Communication and Engagement Department for 15 years, you left a lasting impact on the HDSB and the broader education sector. Your visionary approach to storytelling has revolutionized how we engage with audiences, fostering a deep connection between students, staff, and the Halton community. Through your work, you have not only amplified the achievements of students and staff, but have also strengthened public confidence in education across Halton and beyond. Your ability to make students feel valued and celebrated has created a culture of recognition and pride within the HDSB. Jason, you have played a key role in bringing the board's multi-year strategic plan to life, using your expertise in media and communications to share the inspiring stories that define the HDSB commitment to excellence. Your unwavering dedication and passion for storytelling has set a new standard for communication within education. Your leadership and innovative approach have positioned the HDSB as a model for effective storytelling, earning national recognition for its communication efforts. Your influence on the team's growth and the organize as a whole is immeasurable. Your legacy will continue to shape how we share the success of our students and educators. Jason, as you embark on your new adventure, your impact will remain deeply embedded in the HDSB, guiding how we connect, engage, and celebrate public education in Halton for years to come. Jason, on behalf of all the trustees here, congratulations. I think you're both inspirations in different realms. So just a reminder for everybody out there, don't forget to look for nominations for the Inspire Awards. Anybody can nominate, and you can find the nominations form on the hdsb.ca website. So thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Trustee Shuttleworth. Now we will move on to the Student Trustee Report. Student Trustee Ochu, I believe you're soloing tonight. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you very much. Good evening, staff, superintendents, trustees, and guests. I'm Trustee Ochu, and today I'll be bringing you the Student Trustee Report for the March 4th board meeting. On February 5th, Trustee Ho and I chaired our second Student Senate meeting of 2025. We began with the land acknowledgement reading by a senator, then transitioned to the theme of that Student Senate meeting, which was the student trustee elections. Trustee Ho and I went over the roles of a student trustee at the board, senate, and provincial level. We discussed some of the initiatives that we've been working on, like the mental health days and other responsibilities that come with the position, like chairing senate meetings, designating subcommittee members, and overseeing senate level initiatives. Because the meeting was so focused on elections, Trustee Ho saw it fit to invite the student trustee candidates to the Senate meeting so they can gain insight on some of the responsibilities that Trustee Ho and I have. Vice Chair Oliver and Trustee Bryden provide the student senators with valuable input on the work of student trustees at the board level and took quite a few questions from the eager senators who wanted to know more. Trustee Ho and I would like to extend our gratitude to Vice Chair Oliver and Trustee Bryden for speaking at the Senate meeting on such short notice. Senators then spent 40 minutes brainstorming ideas for initiatives that they'd like to work on from now until the end of the school year. From what Trustee Ho and I heard from these discussions, the senators are as motivated as ever to make positive change within their communities. Speaking of which, Trustee Ho and I concluded the meeting on a positive note with the guest speaker appearance from the CEO of the Halton Learning Foundation, Mark Clare. Mark gave a passionate and motivational presentation to the senators on HLF to resounding success. The senators were so moved by the Halton Learning Foundation's cause that they nearly took up our remaining meeting time to ask Mark how they can get involved with the HLF. From February 13th to February 16th, Trustee Ho and I traveled to Ottawa to attend the Ontario Student Trustees Association's Education Action Conference. Each day was split up into different panels that student trustees would discuss and participate in. There are many guest speakers that hosted these panels, like Student Trustee alumni, executive directors, and Ontario Principals Council, Dr. Nadine Trepanier-Bisson, and many other speakers who fostered incredible conversations and provided Trustee Ho and I insight on how we can be better student leaders. We plan to implement many of the insights that we learned from these guest speakers and other student trustees into the HCSB. Quite a large portion of Trustee Ho and my time was put towards the student trustee elections for the 2025 to 2026 school year. We are proud to say that our efforts paid off. This year, there are 20 candidates across 9 schools from the 4 municipalities. There was a high voter turnout of over 3,900 students from grades 7 to 12. And of course, our 2 winners of the student trustee elections were Jay Zhu and Trustee Ho. Trustee Ho and I would like to extend a thank you to our staff mentors for providing us with the essential guidance required throughout the entire process. This past month has been very productive for the Senate, Trustee Ho and I, and our initiatives. This concludes our student trustee report for the March 4th, 2025 HSB board meeting.
Thank you very much, Trustee Ochu. Are there any questions regarding the student trustee report this evening? Seeing none, thank you very much. And we will move on to section 3, our consent agenda. For approval, we have the minutes from our board meeting on February 4th. For receipt, we have the following information items, outstanding action items, board report schedule, policy and governance procedure review schedule, approved minutes of committee of the whole, January 21st, 2023-2024 annual transportation report, 2025-2026 annual home to school transportation review exemptions. And as correspondence to the board, we had a letter from the chair of the Waterloo Region District School Board regarding school board efficiencies. Be it resolved that the HDSB approve the consent agenda and receive the information items for March 4th, 2025. Trustee Ahmed, would you make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I do. Thank you.
Trustee Amos, would you second this motion?
Yes, I will.
Are there any items that need to be pulled for discussion? Are there any objections to approving the consent agenda? Seeing none, the consent agenda is approved by unanimous consent. We are now up to Section 4, Items for Ratification Action. Action items for March 4th, 2025 include 4.1.1, 2025 Boundary Reviews, Report 25022, submitted by General Manager Thibault. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board directs staff to initiate and complete a boundary review for SRA 301 Milton West, formerly SRA 104, and SRA 302 Milton East, formerly ERA 105, to align pathways for Tiger Jeet Singh Public School and eliminate the split grade 8 cohort created by the approval of option 6A on January 7, 2025. Be it also resolved that the Halton District School Board directs staff to initiate and complete a boundary review for ERA 203, South Oak Trails, South Dundas, and East Third Line, formerly ERA 114 and 115, and ERA 206, Northwest Oak Trails and Palermo, formerly ERA 114, 115, and 118. To balance enrollments at affected schools within existing and future communities for both the English and French immersion program. Trustee Amos, would you move this motion?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Trustee Daniele, would you second this motion?
Yes, thank you, I will.
Manager Thibault, would you like to speak to this report?
Through Madam Chair, very quickly to the Board of Trustees. In terms of timing, we're looking to start the first boundary review for Milton rather quickly. We're looking at it as being probably a pathway to. It's just a little bit of a cleanup as a result of the elementary boundary review process. And then the other one for Northwest Oakville, that's one that we're looking to do kind of the same approach. This spring, we'll establish the committees at a staff level and trustee level, and then hit the ground running in the fall. Similar to like what we've done for Oakville and Milton over the past 2 years. Happy to take any questions with regards to the report before you this evening.
Thank you, Manager Thibault. Is there any debate? Trustee Daniele.
Thank you. And it's just a question for anybody who might be watching. With the Tiger Jeet Singh Secondary School, you talk about taking the pathway B, and I just wonder if you could just state publicly. It's very hard to find on our website exactly what the pathway B is. So for anybody who might be watching, if you could just give a Reader's Digest condensed version of what that is.
Absolutely, and through Madam Chair to Trustee Daniele, Pathway B is essentially a process where we establish a boundary review steering committee comprised of trustees, staff, and it's usually that process is decided upon after the boundary review is established, and we have a discussion around it to decide whether or not a pathway B is suitable in instances where there's no direct impacts to students or there's few students being impacted, which I suspect this will be the case here because we'd be looking to just realign that boundary for future grade 8s graduating. So for that, staff will probably recommend a pathway B, but it's ultimately a decision of the BRSC to decide on that. And what that essentially means is that if we go through a pathway B, there will not be a parent committee established. And then once we come forward with a preferred option, we would present that to the Director of Education and Senior Team, which would then go to the Board of Trustees for consideration and approval. Before it goes to the board as well for consideration too, it'll go to 2 board meetings, and the public will be notified of the recommended option so they have time to delegate if they have any concerns with regards to the proposals.
Thank you for providing that context. I was asked to have it clarified. Thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee Bryden.
I note that the ERAs and SRAs have been renumbered and merged in some cases. Could you give us a 30-second rationale on what's happening there and whether we'll see that in the upcoming LTAP.
Through Madam Chair to Trustee Bryden, that's essentially correct. Is we made some modifications as a result of the 2023 Education Development Charges bylaw study. In the establishment of some of these zones, what we want to do is where it was reasonable to combine them, we combined them to look at maybe more of a full enrollment picture to see if they can be managed with existing facilities and or not. And in some areas, they were initially large areas that might need to be cut down. We didn't have really any of those in the last iteration. The renumbering was a lot more for wayfinding. These ERAs have been added upon for a number of years. So they're not really sequential. So what we did in the new numbering system is that the 100 series are for this is just for elementary, but the 100 series would be for Burlington, 200 series would be Oakville, and so forth. And then secondary, we lumped them all together because we didn't have as many. So that way, it's a lot easier to navigate in that process. That was another reason why we did it that way, so that it translates better into the LTAP at a later date when we're going to be taking more of an online approach, so you can just hone right into it, and it's a lot easier to communicate these things. So that was some of the rationale behind it, both on a pupil accommodation strategy to best position ourselves for EZCs in terms of the boundaries, but the numbering system more for wayfinding, so that it's kind of revamping it so it makes sense over time.
I like those changes. Thank you for the explanation, and thank you for asking the question. Is there any debate? Seeing no further questions, please cast your votes. Get there.
I approve.
Yes.
My vote is in favor, please.
And that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you to Manager Thibault. Next item is 4.1.2 SEAC Membership Report 25023, submitted by Superintendent Ruddock. And I will read the motion. That the Board of Trustees approve the recommended appointment of Tara Conley as an HDSB SEAC member at large. Trustee Ahmed, would you move this motion?
Yes, I will, please.
Trustee Zhang, would you second this motion?
Yes, I will.
Superintendent Ruddock, would you like to speak to this report?
The report is before you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Trustee Bryden.
It's held over from the previous one.
Okay. Vice Chair Oliver.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I'm pleased to see that we do have a replacement interested member who will be joining SEAC. And I'm wondering if Superintendent Ruddock could remind us which associations are represented on SEAC, and if there are any that used to participate but are not at this time.
Thank you. Through the Chair to Vice Chair Oliver, we have a number of associations: Autism Ontario, the Association for Bright Children, the Centre for Diverse Learners, Easter Seals Society, the Halton Down Syndrome Association, Voice for Children who are deaf and hard of hearing, and Community Living Burlington. We also used to have Community Living North Halton. However, their representative had to step aside, and they've yet to be able to fill that position, but we have invited them back at any point when they can find a volunteer.
Seeing no further questions, I will please cast your votes.
Yes.
In favor.
My vote is in favor, please.
There seems to be an issue with my voting. I vote in favor.
Very much, Trustee Ochu. And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. The next item is 4.1.3, appointment of external auditor for the 2024-2025 fiscal year, report 25024, submitted by Superintendent Nagoy. The motion reads that the Board of Trustees authorize the appointment of the external audit firm Deloitte LLP to perform the annual financial statements, audit, and the agreed upon procedures report for the 2024-2025 fiscal year at a cost not to exceed $89,460 plus HST. Trustee Daniele, would you move this motion?
Yes, I would.
Trustee Bryden, would you second this motion?
Yes.
And I see Trustee Bryden. Oh, I no longer see Trustee Bryden. Are there any questions regarding this report? Superintendent Nagoy, would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you, through the chair. This is the annual requirement under the Ontario Regulation 36110 for the Board of Trustees to approve the appointment of the external auditors for the audited financial statements for the current year. This has been recommended by the Audit Committee to the Board of Trustees. And just as a reminder, Deloitte is our external auditor. We have a 5-year contract beginning in 2023-2024. So this is the 3rd year of their contract. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any speakers, so I will go to the voting, and please cast your votes.
In favor?
My vote is in favor, please.
Thank you, and that is unanimous. Our next motion is 4.1.4 regarding Strategic Risk Management Professional Development, Report 25025, submitted by Chair Collard and Vice Chair Oliver, that the Board of Trustees approve Strategic Risk Management Professional Development for all trustees to be provided by Jan Mattingly on March 18, 2025, and that the trustees' prior term reserve be used to cover the cost not to exceed $3,500 plus applicable taxes to provide this PD. Trustee Daniele, would you move this motion?
Yes, I would.
And Trustee Bryden, would you second?
Yes.
Vice Chair Oliver, would you like to speak to this report?
I think the report is pretty clear. It does make sense to proceed with the individual named, as they are very familiar with our risk management, with our strategic risk management, and I'm hoping that trustees will support this motion.
Seeing no speakers, I will put a vote on the screen. Please cast your votes.
In favor?
Yes.
My vote is in favor, please.
Thank you very much, and that is unanimous. Thank you very much. We will move on to the next item, the last action item for this evening, 4.1.5, Striking Committee Update, Report 25026, submitted by Chair Collard and Vice Chair Oliver, that the Board of Trustees approve the Striking Committee Update as outlined in Report 25026. Trustee Bryden, would you move this motion?
I would.
Trustee Zhang, would you second this motion?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
In favor?
Yes.
In favor, please.
Thank you, and that passed unanimously. We are now up to section 5.0, Communication to the Board. Our items for information include 5.1.1, Budget Survey Report, Report 25027, submitted by Superintendent Nagoy. Superintendent Nagoy, would you like to speak to this report?
Thank you, and through the chair to all trustees. This report summarizes the feedback results, both in terms of what we have heard in the online budget survey, as well as in our sessions with elementary and secondary school administrators, as well as department managers and supervisors. Appended to this report in section 5.1 is the detailed budget survey results for your information. What we have heard, just in summary from the respondents, is that there is a focus on or priority in terms of school level staffing and resources that impact student learning directly, looking at equitable access to education for all students, enhancing programming, looking at the learning environments, safe and clean schools, special education supports, and so forth. By contrast, the respondents were looking at efficiencies in the areas of administrative overhead, non-classroom resources, reducing technology in schools, looking at efficient use of portables, the transportation, student transportation eligibility and optional programming, as well as looking at other areas for revenue generating, including grants, pursuing other grants, increasing the international students. So there was a lot of helpful comments that we received from our respondents, and we wanted to thank everyone who took the time to respond to our budget survey. In addition, we did request submissions from our elementary and secondary system administrators, managers, and supervisors. And what we've heard from them is that some of the priority areas include resources for special education, program offerings, modernizing the facilities, and professional development and training of staff was top of those submissions in terms of priorities. Some of the challenges identified was the limited school, departmental, and facility operating budgets, which have not kept up with inflation, and therefore the buying power has shrunk over the years, and it's making it particularly challenging for smaller schools. Some respondents were interested in seeing more of a breakdown of our budget. So in the report, we've also linked the budget workbook as well as the revised budget board report for the current year, which provides appendices with a lot more details in terms of our expense categories. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Nagoy. I see a speakers list. Vice Chair Oliver.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I do wish to extend my thanks to Director Ennis and Superintendent Nagoy for holding and hosting the budget and financial information live stream session back in January, and to staff for opening up the survey to our school families to be able to contribute their insights and share their concerns. I know the Trustees Funding Advocacy Committee will be keen to study in depth the amazing report that was produced by our Research and Accountability Department, summarizing very well all the feedback that was received from our community stakeholders. There's a lot of information there that we'll be able to work with and use in our advocacy endeavors. So thank you for that. Oh, and I'll just add, I want to thank our community members for sharing their ideas with us, and voicing their concerns. There was a lot of good information in there, so thanks to all those who participated.
Thank you very much. Trustee Bryden.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question here is, we got a breadth of feedback, a number of it. And stands out to me are the priorities around class sizes, around special education, which are areas where we went backward last year, given the fiscal, in limited ways, but given the fiscal realities that we were facing. How do these community and staff priorities inform the choices and trade-offs that we will make this year in looking at what we expect, again, not as difficult perhaps a budget as last year, but we don't expect to be having extra resources to make significant investments?
Thank you, and for the chair. We did make significant reductions for the current year, which is why we were focusing on both what the priorities were for respondents and for staff, as well as the challenges that they're facing as we've implemented those reductions. Yes, class size and resources for special education were top of mind in terms of priorities. What we are trying to do this year is make sure that we allocate everything that we can towards classroom resources and special education programs and just learning and instruction in general. We cannot promise that we can reduce class size. We do not have the ability to reduce class size. That is a mandated provincial metric, and that's how we get funded. Unfortunately, as a declining enrollment board, as well as with the funding parameters that are currently in the core education formula, we do not have the ability to lower class sizes. We do have some flexibility. So we look at, from an equity lens, at some of the areas where we believe that some of the schools perhaps are required some additional resources. They would have lower class sizes. So we do look from that lens, but they would not be system-wide. We continue to spend and focus on special education above and beyond the funding formula, and that has remained a priority as well.
Thank you. No? Okay. Thank you. And that concludes the speakers list. Thank you very much, Superintendent Nguyen, for your report. The next item is the director's report.
Thank you, Chair Collard, and good evening once again, everyone. We begin this evening with a deep sorrow and a profound sense of loss, sharing the news of the passing of Chris Colderly, a teacher at Orchard Park Public School, and Leslie Mansfield, retired CEO of the Halton Learning Foundation. Chris Colderly had been a teacher at Orchard Park Public School for 11 years, and he will be remembered not only as a strong and caring teacher who dedicated himself to the success and well-being of students, but also as an eloquent and talented writer whose words inspired many. His ability to connect with others, whether in the classroom, through writing, or in everyday interactions, was truly exceptional. Chris will be deeply missed, and our thoughts are with his family, friends, loved ones, and the entire school community. I also had the opportunity to see the book that Chris co-authored with a couple others. Absolutely spectacular. His writing skills were just tremendous. He will be deeply missed. Leslie Mansfield, retired CEO of the Halton Learning Foundation, passed in March 2023 after nearly a decade retired March 2023 after nearly a decade of dedicated service. Leslie built a remarkable legacy as a steadfast advocate for HDSB students who are in need in the community, and she supported this endeavor throughout her career. Her unwavering commitment to supporting students has left an enduring impact on thousands of HDSB students and their families, the Halton Learning Foundation, and the broader Halton community. On behalf of the Halton District School Board and the entire community, we express our deepest condolence to Leslie's family, friends, and loved ones. If you would be kind enough to join me in a moment of silence on their passing. Thank you. May their service never be forgotten. The NYSB continues to resonate right across the system. I was so excited this morning. I went to a school and the principal was just excitedly sharing with me how each staff member have formed a committee as part of the commitments in the NYSB. They've all divvied it up and they're working dedicatedly. They're super excited about the kindness, connection, and community. That commitment, by the way, trustees, I want to thank you all. That has resonated across the system. Everywhere I go, I hear about it and see it in action. And so we're so grateful. In fact, the principal this morning was expressing her thanks to the Board of Trustees and to the staff here for including that and making this so prominent across our system. our hope and our trust and our goal and what we're working towards is to make sure this becomes a part of the culture of every school in our board and every community in Halton. The HDSB Parent Involvement Committee, or the PIC Conference, as it's commonly known, Engaging Families in Education, happened, and we had a tremendous turnout. This annual event provided families with valuable resources, workshops, keynote speakers to support student success and well-being. Highlights from the event included insightful workshops on student learning, mental health and well-being, equity, engaging discussions on how families can support education at home. Our keynote speakers shared expert advice and strategies, and there were networking opportunities for parents and guardians. We want to thank all the attendees, all the families that came out on that Saturday morning and took part in this event. I want to thank Superintendent Connor and our entire team who planned this event. It was a tremendous success. Our Community Pathways Program Soccer Baseball Tournament was indeed a highlight. I had the opportunity to visit this program and to see this in action, this tournament. It was brought together by students right across the Halton District School Board for a fun-filled day of teamwork and connection. Highlights from the events included students from CK, Elsie McGill, Nelson, TAB, WAS, and MMR, participating in an inclusive sporting event, a supportive and engaging atmosphere that fosters belonging for all students, staff, and students. This event exemplifies HDSB's commitment to kindness, connection, and community. There it is again, as part of the multi-year strategic plan. Thank you to all the students, staff, and organizers for making this a memorable experience. And as I mentioned in a previous update, that our students in our CCP program are getting tremendous exposure and opportunities to be involved outside of the classroom. I want to thank Superintendent Ruddock and our entire team for always providing and engaging our students in such meaningful ways. The Anti-Sex Trafficking Information Session, Raising Awareness in Halton, in collaboration with SAVIS of Halton and EFRY Hope and Help for Women. They hosted an Anti-Sex Trafficking Information Session on Thursday, February 20th at Georgetown District High School. The session was held in response to the overwhelming participation in the joint anti-sex trafficking sessions held in Milton in February and June 2024. So we want to thank all of those who were involved, all the speakers, all the attendees for this important session and for your partnership in safeguarding the well-being of our students and community members. The 2025 Exploring Us Conference, some of you may have heard about it. It took place this past week. The Exploring the Science of Us was a powerful and inspiring way to conclude Black History Month. It was hosted on February the 28th by the graduation coaches for Black students. The conference provided students with a unique opportunity to explore their identity through science, innovation, and cultural heritage. Students participated in experiential workshops, connected Blackness to the scientific world, celebrated Black contributions to global knowledge, and engaged in hands-on activity with curiosity and empowerment at the forefront. A sincere thanks to all the dedicated staff, Shalita Walker, Superintendent Petco, and all involved. If you were here last week, Monday, we had a tremendous Black History Month celebration right here in the JWS Singleton Center. We had performances and highlight. We had our singer Taylor Thompson, who just sang some absolutely amazing song. Her voice was angelic, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. There were moments in the presentation when there were not a dry eye in this space, based on some of the contributions of our graduation coach Jerome Nash, who just spoke from his heart about the work that he was doing and the importance of that work and the meaningfulness of that work to Black students right across the Halton District School Board, and the difference that he's making in their lives, and how families are appreciating the work that he's doing and students are doing so as well. And so it was a tremendous event. We, of course, topped it off with some nice jerk chicken, and we enjoyed that a hearty meal together. It was a fantastic time. There's a little clip there. I'm sure Kevin can show us more of that if you're interested to see more of what took place last Monday. But we had a great time celebrating Black History Month here at the HDSB. Thank you so much, and that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you very much, Director Ennis. I see no questions for you this evening. It sounded like a busy month. So now we go up to 5.3, communications from the chair. And we will have trustee connections to the multi-year strategic plan. Each month I am highlighting one of the commitments in our multi-year strategic plan. Its ties to the Education Act and how the work of trustees supports it. This month I want to highlight Indigenous rights in education. Section 8.291 of the Education Act specifies that the minister may require boards to develop and implement an equity and inclusive education policy, and if required by the minister, submit the policy to the minister and implement changes to the policy as directed by the minister. Section 169.11 states that every board shall promote student achievement and well-being, promote a positive school climate that is inclusive and accepting of all pupils, and deliver effective and appropriate education programs to its pupils. The Truth and Reconciliation Report includes a number of calls to action which are applicable to schools. In particular, 8 calls upon the federal government to develop with Aboriginal groups a joint strategy to eliminate educational gaps between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal Canadians. 62 calls upon the federal, provincial, and territorial governments in consultation and collaboration with survivors, Aboriginal peoples, and educators to make age-appropriate curriculum on residential schools, treaties, and Aboriginal peoples' historical and contemporary contributions to Canada, a mandatory education requirement for kindergarten to grade 12 students. And call 63 calls upon the Council of Ministers of Education Canada to maintain an annual commitment to Aboriginal education issues, including developing and implementing kindergarten to grade 12 curriculum and learning resources on Aboriginal people in Canadian history and the history and legacy of residential schools, sharing information and best practices on teaching curriculum related to residential schools and Aboriginal history, building student capacity for intercultural understanding, empathy, and mutual respect, and identifying teacher training needs relating to these. Trustees have a specific responsibility in ensuring Indigenous rights in education are respected in Section 218.1 of the Education Act, which states that a member of a board shall maintain focus on student achievement and well-being. Trustees also have responsibility for approving the annual budget under Section 232.3 of the Education Act, and this must be aligned with the goals and priorities of the multi-year strategic plan. Our commitment to Indigenous rights in education, the Education Act, and the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action must be reflected in our board's budget. Thank you. We now move on to committee updates, starting with our statutory committees and the Parent Involvement Committee. Trustee Zhang, do you have an update for us this month?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. As Director Ennis just mentioned, the PIC committee just had an annual PIC conference in Milton in February. And in this conference, our keynote speaker, Dr. Alex Russell, gave a speech about the anxiety and the important role of parents. Dr. Russell is a clinical psychologist. He is also the author of Drop the Worry Ball, How to Parent in the Age of Entitlement. Anxiety is always a big topic in children's mental health. Dr. Russell's long presentation has lots of valuable information. HDSB invites experts in various educational areas to our conference. We heard positive feedback after the conference. Many parents like to attend the workshop, as many as possible. We wish all the participants enjoyed the conference and share your experience and what you learned to other parents. And we wish to see you in the next conference. And at this time, I'd like to thank Superintendent Connor and the PIC conference organizing team for the efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Trustee Zhang. And for the Special Education Advisory Committee, Trustee Ahmed, could you provide us with a report on the last SEAC meeting?
Oh, Chair, so today I will do the update.
Thank you very much, Trustee Zhang.
In the February SEAC meeting, the committee members discussed the two documents. The first document is about the HDSB 2024-2025 Special Education Plan Standard 10. That's Individual Education Plan, IEP. And the second one is the IEP section in the Parent-Student Guidebook. We discussed these two documents. And the HDSB Special Education Plan Standard 10 covers the ministry's standard from the special education in Ontario Policy and Resource Guidebook 2017. It includes the IEP development for identified students, non-identified students, and students with autism, and the principles for tracking, training, and assessment, safety plan, and the transition plan. We welcome the community members to check out the SEAC meeting agenda, share your opinions with the committee, and so we can work together to make the next school year special education plan better, and we can better support our students. And also I want to say, because every year every May, the OPSPA has a bring your MPP to school. So in the past 2 years, I have the local MPP and me to visit the school, and we visit a lot of the special education self-contained classrooms. So I recommend all the trustees can do the same and bring your MPP to see our special education program self-contained classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Zhang. Now on to the staff-led committees. We have a couple of trustees away this evening, so we will go to the Human Rights Equity Advisory Committee. Trustee Ahmed, has there been a meeting of that committee since our last board meeting?
No, Chair, we haven't, and I don't have any updates so far.
Thank you very much. And moving to the final committee report, Student Mental Health and Wellbeing, Vice Chair Oliver.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'll provide an update for the Mental Health Strategy Advisory Committee. The Student Mental Health Committee is an advisory body to that committee. For the benefit of fellow trustees and our community members, the Mental Health Strategy Advisory Committee is chaired by our Superintendent Dean Barnes and led with the support of Stephanie Wallace, who is our mental health lead, along with Beth Bogue, our instructional program lead for mental health. The purpose of this advisory committee, as directed by School Mental Health Ontario, is to provide feedback and advice on the priorities and action items of the mental health and well-being strategy. Membership on this committee includes community agencies, parents, students, principals, human resources, trustee rep, and superintendent of well-being Dean Barnes, and the mental health team lead. Monthly meetings have been set. One of the key priorities of this committee is to create a new mental health action strategy plan for 2025 to 28. Mental health staff are busy analyzing and working with all the data that's available, and the first draft of this strategy will be brought forward for discussion at the March 17 meeting. All school boards must have these strategies finalized and posted publicly on board websites by June 30th of this year. I would also like to remind our families and staff about 2 new mental health sessions scheduled for later this month. Each session will be led by a mental health expert in that area who will share their knowledge and provide helpful information and resources. There's an upcoming session called Supporting Elementary Age Students with Anxiety, Practical Strategies and Interventions, scheduled for Tuesday, March 18, and a session on March 25th, Navigating Mental Health Resources for Children and Teens, a Guide for Parents and Guardians. Families and staff can learn more about these sessions through visiting our Mental Health and Wellbeing Information Sessions webpage and registering online by completing the registration form that's available there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that update, Vice Chair Oliver. And now we will move to 5.5, OPSPA update, and I will ask if Trustee Daniele has anything to share this month.
I don't. I was unfortunately unable to attend the Board of Directors meeting. The only thing I would mention to trustees is that registration is now open for the Labor Relations Conference at the beginning of May.
Thank you very much, Trustee Daniele. We are now up to 5.6, trustees' questions of clarification, and I will look for any speakers, any questions. And seeing none, we will move to 5.7, trustee news. So if you have any news to share about things that are happening in your ward, please let us know. Trustee Zhang.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I'd like to share my recent amazing, exciting experience visiting Florence Mirrors to present the Inspire Award. Just a couple of weeks ago, I went to visit Florence Mirrors to present the award to a group of educational assistants. This group was nominated by the special education teachers. So I know some name there because I know at least one of the TA was nominated and received the award 2 years ago. So I can see that they have provided great service and that they deserve the recognition. And in this group, I read their achievements. Their achievements reflect the HDSB's excellent service to special education students and provided the support to the special education, those families. And we learned a lot of the great stories about caring, loving, and inspiring. So those stories are from parents, students, and the teaching team. Many of the stories are about the students who, when they really need more support, and they are experiencing some difficulties, that could be illness or mental health challenges. At that period of time, maybe a little more support from our teaching team can, or a little more support or more parent engagement or communication can support the students a lot. Those changes, those work efforts can also change the student's life. I learned a story. So one student said before to me, and the student said she liked the teacher, and she liked in the future she wants to be a teacher, like the teachers as her role model. So it's how important a role model is. I want to take the opportunity to express our appreciation to teachers, educational assistants, and volunteers. I'm sure there must be more amazing stories our community like to share with us. The Inspiring Award is a great way to express the recognition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trustee Zhang. Vice Chair Oliver.
Thank you very much. And along those lines, last week I was able to present the Inspire Award to 2 teachers at Heritage Glen. You can find that on my Twitter account. It was Mr. David Bennett and Miss Anne-Marie Solodzik. And she's a math teacher, and I do remember her. She was my son's teacher and a beloved teacher at that. Both of them are beloved teachers for sure. I wanted to speak to the Halton Skills Competition that took place last week. I had the immense pleasure of being able to witness it, observe it, and be a judge of the Lego robotics competition. There were over 1,100 students from 55 elementary schools from across HDSB that competed in 14 skilled trades and technology competitions. And it was really amazing to watch these youngsters be presented with a challenge and with their team collaborate and problem solve. There was a lot of, excitement, a lot of upsets, but in the end, all the teams were incredibly happy and and pleased with their results. No matter what the results were, they were incredibly happy. And I want to extend my gratitude to, I know Superintendent Nick Frankovich played a role in overseeing that, and there are many others among the senior team, I'm sure. And I want to thank all the staff who helped to make this event be possible. For many students, this might be the highlight of their year, maybe years in our system. And that's where kids get to explore different skills and passions, try things out, and also be able to compete with something that they know they have a strength in and try something new. So it was really amazing to witness, and it just filled my heart to watch our students and to see all these amazing staff and volunteers circulate and help out and assist. It was an amazing 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Oliver. At this point, we will be heading into private session. Trustee Daniele, would you move a motion to go into committee of the whole private session regarding property matters? This meeting is not open to the public pursuant to Education Act 2072.
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Trustee Amos, would you like to second this motion?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Are there any objections to moving into private session? Seeing none, the motion is passed by unanimous consent, and we are now in private session. Vice Chair Oliver, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. We will take a 10-minute recess.
We are now in public session. Next item on our agenda is 6.2, approval of business transacted in committee of the whole, private session. Vice Chair Oliver, do we have any business from private session that requires approval?
I have 2 items.
Please proceed.
Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board approve the resolution Part 1 from the Halton District School Board's Committee of the Whole private session of March 4th, 2025, respecting property matters, report 25028, private session agenda item 3.1, and I so move.
Trustee Amos, would you second this motion?
Yes, I would.
Is there any debate? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
In favor.
In favor, please.
And yes, come on. That was unanimous. I don't know why it didn't show properly on the screen, but that was unanimous. And do you have another item?
Yes. Be it resolved that the Halton District School Board approve the resolution Part 2 from the Halton District School Board Committee of the Whole private session of March 4th, 2025, respecting property matters, report 25028, private session agenda item 3.1, and I so move.
And Trustee Amos, would you second that motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any debate? Seeing none, please cast your votes.
In favor, please.
Thank you.
In favor.
And that was also unanimous. Thank you very much. We have now reached the section on adjournment, and as our agenda is exhausted, I